Well, in the headlines, there's been a lot of talk about rent. And if you find yourself in a situation where because of the pandemic, you can't pay rent. Well, what about homeowners out there? Are you finding yourself in a situation where maybe that mortgage payment is becoming hard to be able to grasp and make happen? Well, let's go ahead, bring in one of our friends, Alan Borden from the Debt Relief Legal Group. Alan, it's good to see you today. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you again, Natalie.
So it is the truth where there's a lot of talk about rent, but there's a lot of people who've been affected by this pandemic or maybe other situations in their life where meeting those mortgage payments just aren't happening. How can you help them?
Yeah, so generally there are three ways that you can take care of a mortgage if you're falling behind. One, you can try to do a modification, or as they will call it, a loss mitigation, where you're trying to modify the terms of the mortgage, put your arrears, the back or the missed payments on the end of the loan, play with the interest a little bit, maybe even extend the life of the loan, and then get you back to current. That's one thing that requires a lot of documentation that you have to send to them, and you really got to stay on top of it. A second option is really to defend a foreclosure, prove that you actually did make the payments or that they made a mistake somehow. That's another way to kind of fight back. The third option, and you always have this in your back pocket, is to file a bankruptcy, which will stop a foreclosure, even if even before the sale date. So you can wait up until right before the house is going to sell in a foreclosure. You can still file bankruptcy, stop the sale, and be able to come back from that. But more recently, there is a fourth option, which is the CARES Act that was passed over the summer. Basically, this allows you to ask for a deferment of payments up to 6 months. All you have to do is basically give them notice that you did have some kind of economic loss due to COVID, and they can defer payments up to 6 months. At the end of those 6 months, you can ask again for another 6 months. That gives you up to a year of deferred payments. And that's really good, a law that they passed that has helped a lot of homeowners. The problem with this law is that I think it's a little incomplete. At the end, once you're done with your deferment, it's completely up to the mortgage company to figure out how they're going to deal with those missed payments. Some mortgage companies will ask you to pay the entire amount immediately. So let's say you ask for 3 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Then they ask you for 3 months to be paid immediately on that fourth month. Nobody's in the position to do that. So it's very important, if you're going to ask for a CARES Act deferment, make sure you understand what's going to happen at the end, how you're going to pay it back. Now, there are other banks that'll say, okay, we'll put that whole amount at the end, and then that makes it better. So instead of a 30-year loan, now you have a 30 and 6 month year loan. That's fine. But just make sure and know what you're getting into before you ask, and be ready for the end result.
Yeah, because like the modifications you were saying, which is your first option, you can take those payments and put them back into the mortgage. You know, we were talking about the CARES Act. That's something you need to go out and seek. When it comes to modification, I remember when we had a hurricane go through and I received documents from my loan company talking about this. And at first I was like, what is all this about? But it was because we were impacted. Are people receiving modifications in the mail? Are you hearing that? Or is that something that people need to go out and seek as well?
It's very rare for a company to actually send you out a pre-approved modification. The process of the modification usually happens where they notice that you're getting behind, so they will send you a loss mitigation packet, which will ask you for financial stuff like your tax returns, bank statements, proof of your income, things of that nature. Once you send that in, and it's very important when you're working on a modification that you stay on top of these companies, because you got to fax it in, mail it in with registered so that you know that it got there, and then call them every single day for an update to see, did you get all my documents? Am I current with everything? Am I missing everything? Anything? That way, once they get a complete package, they'll review you and then tell you if they'll offer you a modification. If they will, they'll give you what's called pre-approved trial modification, allow you to pay 3 payments on time just to prove that you can make those payments. And if you do that, which again is very important that you make those payments exactly the day of or before they're due, then they'll send you a final complete modification, which is quite a bit of paperwork that you're going to have to sign, and they'll submit to the county to show that it's changed your mortgage.
Again, we only went into depth on 2 of those options there. You brought up there are too many other ways that you can help. Go ahead, reach out today. And don't forget, you get that free consultation and $150 off attorney fees. There's the contact information. Alan, as always, this is such important information. I'm really glad you're part of our show.
Yeah, thank you very much.